everybody, welcome back to the Dash of Élan. I got another video for you. Today we're going to have a review of Flames of War V4 unit cards for the late war. If you're a fan of the late war era, play Flames of War, you might want to consider checking out these cards because I find them pretty useful. Today we're going to take a look at those cards and how useful they might be for you, what you get in the cards, and how are they packaged, and so on and so forth. In addition, we're also going to have a look at the supplemental book, Late War Armies, which you may or may not want to buy as well or instead of the cards. So we're going to have a look at all these regarding Flames of War V4. So let's jump right into the video and have a look at these cards. Let's take a look at the actual cards themselves. They're not too thick and clumsy, and they're not too thin either. These, I think, are going to last you quite a while, considering the wear and tear they might go through in a typical battle. We shall see, but I think it's a strong point. They also have quite a gloss shine to them, which is not bad because you can use your dry erase markers on these cards. If you need to keep track of something or put a little note on a card, you can easily do that with your dry eraser and wipe it off later. Okay, let's take a look at the actual cards themselves, starting with the Germans. A nice little sturdy box, as we saw earlier. There's a total of 68 cards that come in the German pack. And as expected, it covers all your basic unit types that you would expect to encounter in a late war, including Stugs and Panzer IVs, and the Tigers, Flak 88s, all the classic weapon systems and infantry formations and artillery. It's all covered here. Pumas. And you do get duplicate cards of units, so you can really build your list. You shouldn't have to, there's no reason to run out of cards when you build a basic force normally. And of course, it does include the force lists themselves. You got all the different formations and the points values on the back and so on and so forth. And here's the Soviet pack. Now, the Soviet pack has slightly fewer cards. There's about 58 unit cards in here. And again, it's infantry and artillery and all the tanks you'd expect. In this case, there is a plastic wrapping around these cards to protect them. So when you first get them, you got to pull out your trusty little hobby knife and get in there. So, and again, it's the same vehicles and infantry and aircraft that you'd expect for late war. And the formation cards, which I really enjoy. The formation cards make it really easy to build your armies. You basically pick one and choose formations and so on and so forth, and unit platoons that fit within that formation, so on and so forth. Here's a look at the American cards. Again, all the classic vehicles and formations. There's 59 cards in the U.S. deck, one more than the Soviets, but still less than the Germans. Here we have the British deck, the UK forces. There is 72 cards in their pack, so they have the most. And again, it's all the classic vehicles for late war, and there are duplicates, as you can see here, which again is nice to see. I like this shade of blue they put on the cards too. Very colorful. I do enjoy it. Now, the actual book, the hardcover, Armies of Late War, you can also purchase. And if you look at the card decks, you kind of have to look at the book as well. And basically, all the cards are drawn from this book. Really, there is no reason to have both. But if you want to complete your collection, yes, indeed, I would highly recommend you also get the book. It's about 130 pages, glossy. And as you can see here, units are duplicated on the cards. Which is highly useful, so it saves you a lot of time. If you prefer to write things out, maybe you don't need the cards. You can just grab the book. But I do enjoy the book. It has a lot of third edition flavor to it with all the pictures and illustrations. And of course, it does actually cover some of the fluff and some of the background information that would be useful to understanding your army better, at least historically, on where it fits. And of course, once again, there you can see the cards match up quite well with the forces indicated in the book. So do you need both? Not really. But it's nice to have the book along with the cards if you want a more complete version of V4. And of course, you do get play charts in the back. Very enjoyable book. So there you go, folks. That's my look at the version 4 Army List unit cards. Do I recommend them? I pretty much do, but it really depends on where you're coming from as you get into version 4 Flames of War. Like I said, in the past, I enjoy setting up models on the tabletop, disregarding points, and just playing a battle. Using the cards really helps me do that. It's very convenient for that style of play. If you want to go as far as building an actual army list with points with the cards, it's also very convenient because you really literally don't have to look into a book. It's all right there on the cards. The force lists, all your options are listed right there on the reverse of the card, the formations available to your force, and so on. It's all right there. And you can use these same cards during play to keep track of stats and so on and so forth. Very convenient. If you're new to Flames of War, I recommend either or both the cards in the book. I mean, you're going to get all that added background information with the book. If you're an old hat at V3 and you're just coming into late war version 4, you don't need anything outside of the book, but the cards, like I said, make playing and setting up games very convenient. Something that is the big thing now with mid-war Flames of War is the use of the cards. So it kind of fits. If you're getting into V4, I recommend the cards either way. If you're new, the book and or the cards is useful. Many times I have built army lists just with the cards. I've done that with Team Yankee as well, and it was a convenient thing to do, where I don't really have to refer to the book and do the calculations and look for the numbers. They're all right there in the card. Yeah, so I do recommend it if you're new or you're an old hat. Really consider the cards. If you're new to Flames of War entirely, consider the book. If you're an old hat, you know, it depends on your preference whether you want to buy the cards or not, or go with the book. But I do recommend one of the two at the very minimum. I know a lot of late war players are still using the V3 Army List books, and you can do that. And I'm sure late war is going to be very much like mid war eventually once they convert everything over, and you won't be using those V3 books anymore. And I think the current late wars book and the decks of unit cards are a beginning of that. I recommend them personally if you really want that convenience of gameplay. That's my take on it, folks. I hope you enjoyed the video. I enjoyed making it. I love Flames of War, a big game of mine, and I hope to do more videos on it, including reviews and bat reps as always. Like, share, subscribe, leave me your thoughts on this video, Flames of War and the decks of cards. Let me know what you think. And as always, folks, hang in there. It's only going to get better. Take care.